Hey everybody, it's Rich again. It's been about, I want to say a little over 48 hours since I finished doing the top coat on all the doors and the drawer fronts. So they've had plenty of time to dry and gonna get ready to start installing some of the doors. Let me go ahead and grab a door and the hardware that I need and tools that you'll need to get it accomplished, and we'll get started. So once you paint the doors and you have them complete, depending on the type of hinges that you use, you're going to have to mount them. I'm using the European style hinges, but if you use some standard type hinges where they're exposed, you'll have a different process for installing those. But a lot of the tips that I give you here will apply to those as well. Before I get started, it's just easier before I put the hinges on to actually go ahead and pre-drill the hole for the doorknob. Since I'm doing so many cabinets and so many doors, I decided to create a jig so that I didn't have to measure it every single time. I measure it one time, create the jig, and then go ahead and replicate it multiple times, and it should be, it's very repeatable and it's very convenient and it's accurate. What I did the first time is I actually marked it with a pencil here, and then I put my 90-degree blocks in place, and then I slid my pegboard around to find the center of the hole, and then I just nailed it in place. That way I know that this hole right here is the hole that I want to drill each and every time. When I want to put the doorknob on the right side, I use this one. If I want to put the doorknob on the left side, then I use this one. Put my jig in place and then drill my hole, and it's ready to go. Now, one of the items that I use to drill the hole is just a block underneath. I'm putting it underneath the door, and then I'm going to clamp it to the door so that when I drill through, I don't actually, so that the drill bit doesn't actually punch through and chip the paint on the other side of the door. This makes it a nice clean, drill hole. And so what I do is I just clamp everything together. Since this hole is a 1/4-inch hole, it's a little bigger than what I really want to drill. I've been using a self-centering bit initially to get the hole started so that I can keep it in the center of that hole. That way it doesn't walk around in different places. And then I'll finish it up with the right size drill bit, which is a 3/16 drill bit. Alright, so these are the hinges that I'm using. They're actually a soft close hinge. They're a 1/2 inch overlay. This is a Blum hinge. It's actually a part number 38N is what I'm using here. It has adjustments to where you can turn the soft close on, or you can actually flip a switch and it turns it off. So in any case, you'll need 2 of these hinges, and I have a whole bag of them for all these doors. And then you just want to pop them into place if you have them pre-drilled like I do. So you set them up and then get your drill bit ready. I actually have another self-centering bit, and this is a 5/64, which is perfectly fine for what I'm using. I'm actually using a number 6 screw, 1/2 inch screws to install these. Now, don't just eyeball it. The best way to go about doing it is getting a straight edge. So what I do is I get a straight edge and I put it up against the hinges, and I'll push it up tight. That way I know that they're both facing the exact same way and that they are basically perpendicular to the door. And then I go ahead and drill my holes. So those are drilled, and now we just take the screws. It makes it easy to have two drills. That way they're each set up for what they need. This is just for driving, and the other one's just for drilling. So I have it set on. I had it set on 3. I really do it on 1 or 2 just to make sure that I'm not over tightening. I know that my hinge is actually 3.5 inches up from the bottom of the door. So I want to measure up 3 inches to leave a 1/2 inch down here that's going to be overhanging. So I measure up from the bottom here to 3 inches and make a mark. So we measure 3 inches. Make a mark. Rather than having the door and having to hold the door in place and figure out and try to hold it while I'm drilling, I just take another one of the hinges that's just kind of that I have extra because I'm going to be using a bunch of them, and I just set it in place because it's going to set in the same location, and it allows you to figure out where you need to drill without having to hold the door, hold the drill. So I'll go ahead and find the hole. Alright, so now that I have the hole drilled, I can go ahead and mount the door to this right here, and then once the door is up there, there's a couple of little clips that, I don't know if you can see, there's a couple of little clips right here that actually will grab, and when I mount this bottom one, the top one will kind of stay in place without sliding off and causing it to be stressing this bottom hinge too much. So it'll hold itself in place until I can get the drill to drill a hole through for that one. And that way I don't even have to actually make a mark. As long as this one's pretty snug, it'll stay in place. Okay. So now I've got it mounted. What's great about these hinges is it allows you to adjust the door in and out, and then you can make it shift left or right. Not a bunch, but you can make fine adjustments as long as you, initially mounted it fairly correctly. Now, and then you can also adjust the height from top to bottom because this is slotted. You can loosen these screws and move the door up or down. I'm actually measuring from the bottom of the door, and I'm about a 1/2 inch. So I don't think it really needs to be adjusted any. The only thing you want to make sure is that when you start closing this hinge, that this edge doesn't touch the cabinet because it'll chip the paint. So you want to make sure you can get it as tight as you can without chipping the paint. And then you also want to be sure that when you move it in or out, you'll notice that you'll want it to actually close at the top and the bottom of the door. You want it to close at the bottom, but then you want it to close at the top. You don't want to have a gap right there like you can see right there. So that means I either need to bring this top in a little bit so to close that gap, or bring the bottom out so that it matches the top. And that way it closes a little nicer. So what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and bring this door out a little bit, and that way hopefully both the top and the bottom shut at the same time, or touch the cabinet at the same time. So it's just fine adjustments, and you can twist it and it comes out just a tad. So let's see how that is. Still a little bit more. Let me try and just a little more. We're pretty good with this door. So the only thing left to do is to go ahead and install the doorknob and the rubber bumpers, stoppers. I found some stuff that I liked at the local big box store, but before I purchased it, I was going to go ahead and look online. I was able to go onto Amazon and found some knobs for essentially half the price of what you can get at the hardware stores. These are 1.25 inch diameter doorknobs, and they're oil rubbed bronze, and they come in a package of 10. And since we needed to have about 31 of them, we couldn't beat this price. So this is what we purchased. It comes in a nice little package of 10. It gives you 2 different lengths of screws, so that's convenient. This is the doorknob itself. It's oil rubbed bronze. It's nice. It's a good size, and it should last for a pretty good long time. So it's just a matter of putting it in the hole. And let me get a drill. All right. And I got a package of 100 of these to install. They're 1/2 inch diameter, and they're actually really nice. I'm kind of surprised. I did not find. I was at the hardware store. They had some, but they were pretty expensive, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try Amazon and see what kind of price I can get. And you can get so many more. I mean, the only thing you could get at the hardware store was a package of like 48, and I knew I was going to need close to 100, so I went online, and you can get, you know, however many you need. I mean, packages of 100, 300, whatever you need. And this is a much higher quality. The rubber is much softer, and you don't even hear it. It's like super quiet. That's it. Very quiet. So the name of the stuff, it's kind of surprising. Rock Hardware, and they sell other things. I know they sell like doorknobs and parts for drawers and things like that. The next step is to go ahead and install the rest of the doors. So I'm going to be working on that, but there's no sense in repeating everything, 100 different times. Essentially, you just want to make sure that if you're using new doors, if you have not used the doors before and these are brand new, just making sure that you are careful when you're drilling the hole for the doorknob, and making sure you put it on the right side, on the top or on the bottom. Other than that, it's fairly straightforward. Just take your time and do some pre-drilling. Make sure you pre-drill everything, because you don't want to split anything, especially in the cabinetry or on the doors. All right, hope this is helpful, and I'll do another video soon. Thanks.